Hey, YogaLean friends. It's Kim Gray here, and we are going to do a body weight focused practice, right? So we're going to start with a little bit of yoga warm up, and then we'll be doing exercises that use just our body weight to provide strength and endurance. So let's begin in our mountain pose. And we'll take a big breath in and reach our arms overhead. We'll unite our hands and we'll move down into chair pose. So while we're doing this, if you want to track your movement with your fitness watch, go ahead and get that going. And if we put it in yoga mode, that's probably, our heart rate will get too high for that. So I'm going to put it in, I think maybe weightlifting, or maybe try core and see if your watch likes that. So I'm going to do core training and see. Okay. All right. So we'll do this a few more times. And then from mountain pose, let's step our feet out wide, toes out, heels in. We'll bend into the knees. They'll track consistently a few times. Let's root those feet down, strong legs and arms reach up as we breathe in, and we'll sink into moonflowers. And we'll transition this into sunflowers. And last one here. We'll come back to mountain pose and we'll sweep our arms up as we breathe in. We'll forward fold, reverse swan, and then chair pose. We'll do this a few times, maintaining a long back. And we'll do two more of these. Now we'll take one more forward fold and we'll bring the hands all the way down, making our way onto all fours. Let's activate through that core and we'll move into some spinal balance. Reaching out long with opposing limbs while maintaining that active inner core, that steadiness in the trunk. Now next time right arm and left leg are lifted, let's bend the left knee, and as we breathe out, knee and elbow and nose toward each other, and then we'll reach out with that bent leg and long arm, allowing the spine to move like cow and cat. Last one. We'll come back to all fours and we'll switch sides. Last one. And then we'll move into child's pose. Reaching our arms out long, core is active. We'll move into that kneeling plank and crocodile. We'll press up and back to child's pose. Last flow here. We'll find our downward facing dog. And we'll pedal the heels, shift the weight, roll across the toes. From here, let's move into full plank. We'll bring the right knee down. We'll open up into a kneeling side plank. And then we'll move back into a plank with mindful transitions. And we'll alternate sides. We're balancing between the two sides. And then moving back into downward facing dog. We'll walk our feet forward. We'll root and rise as we breathe in. And breathing out, mountain pose. Now we're moving through a few sun salutations. Breathing in, the arms and the heart lift, let's forward fold. And from here, let's add a half lift. Into the forward fold, half lift. And then back into the forward fold, the right foot steps back. And let's rise up into kneeling or high lunge, and we'll hold this for a few breath cycles. And breathing out, hands to the mat, we'll step back to downward dog or child's pose. And we'll move into that full or kneeling plank. We'll lower to crocodile. And then an option to press back up or lift up into an upward dog or a low cobra. And then we'll return to downward dog or child. Now the right foot steps up. And we'll find our lunge. And we breathe out, hands to the mat. Stepping forward, we'll lift halfway up on that in-breath and a forward fold on the out-breath. We'll root and rise, breathing in, breathing out, chair pose. Let's do that on the other side, our arms and heart lift. We'll forward fold and lift halfway up. We'll forward fold, hands all the way down. And the left foot steps back. And we're rising up into a lunge. And exhaling, hands to the mat. And we're stepping back into downward facing dog. Moving through our flow. And the left foot steps forward. And we find our roots and rise into our lunge, a kneeling or high lunge. And as we exhale, hands to the mat, the back foot steps forward. We'll lift halfway up, a forward fold. We'll root and rise. And chair pose. We'll do one more sun salutation on each side. From the fold, lifting halfway, then forward folding again. The right foot steps back. We're incorporating a twist into this time. So we'll open toward the left. Arms can reach out long, our hands at the heart space. And we undo the twist. And hands to the mat, we'll step back into downward facing dog. And we're moving into our flow. And that right foot steps forward. We'll find our roots. And we'll rise, and then we'll open up. And we breathe in and untwist. Hands to the mat, the back foot steps forward. We'll root and rise. Oh, I forgot the half lift. Let's forward fold and lift halfway up again. And then we'll root and rise and chair pose. All right, we'll do another one on the other side. A forward fold, a half lift, a forward fold again. The left foot steps back. We establish the foundation. We rise up as we breathe in. We'll twist open. We'll undo. And hands to the mat. Stepping back into downward facing dog or child's pose and moving through that flow. And the left foot stepping up. Finding our roots, we're rising up. On the out breath, it's an opening to a twist. On the in breath, it's an undoing. And breathing out, hands to the mat with the back foot stepping forward. A half lift, a forward fold, rooting to rise, and chair pose. Beautiful. All right, we're ready for some additional body weight work. So sun salutations, yoga in general really is body weight work. So our first exercise is going to be a caterpillar plank. So we are moving down from mountain down into plank, forearm plank, back to a full plank, and then back to mountain pose. All right. So we'll start at the back of our mat, arms up as we breathe in, and we forward fold. Now here we're walking our hands forward out into a full plank, trying to keep our midsection centered rather than letting the body sway from side to side. And then we get in our full plank, and let's bring the right forearm down first, then the left, then the right comes back up, then the left. And then we're walking ourselves back, keeping our midsection, our hips as centered as possible, rooting to rise as we breathe in. And breathing out, we forward fold. And then we're walking forward again, keeping the core active as we walk forward into our full plank. And this time, left arms go down first, then the right, then the left arm up, and then the right. That's fun, core very active, yes? And then we're walking back, reverse swan. Ooh, those are fun, right? Smiles on faces, we're forward folding, we're walking out. Keeping the core very active. Into that full plank we go. We're back to the right side down first. And then the right side back up. And then we walk back up. Reverse swan. Ooh. Forward fold again. Walking forward. Very intentional with that movement. Your own pace from the full plank. Left forearm down first. Then the right, then the left, up, and then the right. Challenging to the upper body and the core. We walk back, reverse swan. All right, we're doing one more on each side. Walking out. Right arm first, then left, then right, then left. Core very active as we walk back. Reverse swan. Last one. We're walking out from that full plank. Left, right, left, and right. That last arm. Reverse swan. Whew. And mountain pose. Nice job. Nice job. All right. So now we're moving into lunges. So this will be a lunge forward, a squat out to the side, a lunge back, a squat out to the side, and a lunge forward. So we're kind of going around the clock. All right. So remember, for our lunges, we're keeping the shoulders over the hips. So as we step forward with the left foot, keeping the shoulders over the hips, knee over the ankle, core active, we step back. Now we're stepping out to the side in a squat and we step back. And then the left foot back in a lunge, shoulders over the hips. We step forward, switching legs. We step back. We step out to the side and we step forward. Good. And we'll keep going in this format. Good. We're just finishing round number 6. If you're with my pace, we're doing 2 more. Beautiful. All right. So we're going to kick up the heart rate. That's slow the heart rate down a little bit, right? We're going to kick it up with burpees. So burpees can be low impact. We're squatting down, hands on the mat. And we can step back 1 foot at a time. And then step back with the same side foot. And then stand up. So it's kind of like a sun salutation, you know, the beginning and the end of it, right? Now we can make it a little bit more dynamic when we squat down and jump back into plank, jump forward and then stand up. And we can actually add a little jump at the end of it. All right. So this one we're going to do for a minute. So this one's timed. And you go at your own pace. All right. And we're on the clock. Here we go. Now, as you're jumping back, if you're choosing to jump, the core needs to stay so active so that the back is supported on that jumping back. So we avoid letting the belly sink down to the floor. And if it starts to feel like it's too much, go slower. Maybe avoid the jump at the end. You know, just like a yoga practice, we're listening to our bodies. And it might have been a couple of weeks since you did a practice like this. Like me. This is the last one. All right. Or high five, you guys. Woo! So you might need a sip of water after that. All right. So we're moving into some push-ups, some of your favorite things, I know. But important for shoulder strength and core strength. So you can do full-on push-ups if you want. You can do kneeling push-ups. And I think I'm going to start, well, actually, I'm going to do kneeling push-ups. I still have that shoulder thing going on. It's feeling better, but it's still there. All right, so cushion your knees if you like. And we're doing regular push-ups. Let's start with 12. Let's start with 12. So hands are wide. We're moving into our stance. So the shoulders are in the same plane as the wrists, and the hips are forward of the knees. Core is active, head in line with the spine. We bend the elbows on the inhale and lower, and on the exhale, we push up. Are you counting for yourself? This is number 12 for me. All right. Excellent. There will be more push-ups coming up. So don't think, oh gosh, we only did 12. There will be more coming up, I promise. All right. So we are moving into some pulsing lunges. So let's step back with the left foot. Pulse, 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 step forward. Other side, pulse, 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 step forward. So each of you finding 3 pulses and a step forward. And make the pulses count. Make sure your front foot is anchored first. All right, now, there is an option. If you're feeling strong or daring to do your 3 pulses and then jump and switch legs. 3, 2, 1, switch. 3, 2, 1, switch your legs. 3, 2, 1, switch. 3, 2, 1, switch. 3, 2, 1, switch. Core is active. 2, 1, switch. We got 2 more. 3, 2, 1, switch. 3, 2, 1, switch. Beautiful. Woo. Quads are feeling that, yes? Yes, indeed. All right. Now we're moving into a push-up into a side plank. Push-up to side plank, okay? So I'm going to show you from the side, but then I'm going to turn and face you guys. So we do a push-up, and then lift the knees, and then roll into a side plank. It could also be a hybrid side plank. And then we undo a push-up, and then other side. Okay? Sound good? I'm gonna time this one again. All righty, you ready? We are on the clock. You might be saying, well, wait, you didn't say how long we were going. I know, I didn't. Because sometimes maybe we limit ourselves by thinking we can only do it for 20 seconds or 30 seconds. All right, balance between your 2 sides. And we are over a minute. A nice job. Everybody takes in your high five. And then we're standing back up again. And moving into curtsy lunges. So these are lateral lunges. We don't move laterally a lot in our everyday activities. So these help to work muscles that are on the outside and inside of the legs. So we step behind, bend both knees. We're hinging forward a little bit, okay? Then we come back and we switch sides, okay? So I'm going to time this one. Go at a pace that feels right for you. Here we go. Looking good. So we're taking the heart rate up again with this movement. Make sure you balance between both sides. Good. And we did a minute of that. Okay, so now we're moving into a side plank. It could be a full side plank or forearm down. So a forearm side plank, and we're bringing elbow to knee on the top. So the right arm's down, left side is up. So what are your options? Full side plank, hybrid, forearm side plank, or it could be kneeling side plank. All right, and then elbow to knee. That's what we're doing. Core is active. Here we go. You know, and you can start in the full side plank and then decide, this is just getting to be too challenging, right? And I can't hold my good form. And that's when you can take a modification, right? You can still keep going. So we're halfway done. Now would be a good time if you want to change it out into some modified version if you're in the full. Ten seconds. And time. How about a downward facing dog? Pressing hands away from the feet and feet from the hands. Big breaths. All right. So we're going to do the other side. So we'll get into position and begin. All right. My foot keeps slipping. I'm switching. We're past 30 seconds. Ten seconds. Time. Downward facing dog. And we'll walk back up. Beautiful. All right. So earlier we did some burpees, another very similar exercise that elevates the heart rate and strengthens the core. The front and the back body muscles are mountain climbers. Now these can be slow or they can be a little quicker. So we start in down dog. We'll move into plank and we'll keep those shoulders over the wrists. And then we bring one knee at a time in. Again, a pace that works for you. We're on the clock. Let's go. So it can be simply marching one knee in at a time, or maybe you're going a little faster. Keeping those shoulders over the wrists. Head in line with the spine. And the core is active. Halfway down. You can do it. And time, balance between your sides. Whew. And your downward facing dog. Nice job. All right, come up when you're ready. So the next one is a single leg deadlift. So this is a warrior three. So what you can do, if you have furniture, you could use a chair. You can put your hands on the wall, or you can focus on your balancing skills. And we bend one leg at a time and lower down. So this is really more like a single leg squat from warrior three. All right, so let's do 8 to 12 on the first side, and then we'll do it on the second side, and we'll see how we feel, okay? Are we ready? Remember, you can put your hands on the wall or a chair. We're folding in half, floating that back leg. Arms can be out like airplane wings. Core is active. We're bending the knee and lengthening. Bending the knee and lengthening. Do your 8 to 12. Woohoo. You really feel that in that glute, yes? All right. So maybe we're rotating out. We're going to go to the other side. And our target again is 8 to 12. 8 to 12 on the other side. All right. All right, when we're ready. Try and do the same number as you did on the first side. Nice. All right, sometimes it's a little more challenging on one side. Beautiful. All right, so we're moving into some squats. So these will be feet parallel, and we're doing 3 pulse down and a knee up, and then 3 pulse down and the other knee up. All right, I'm going to time this one. Here we go. And you get to choose how fast you go. We are coming up on our minute. So make sure you are balanced between your two sides. All right. Nice job. We're coming down to the mat. And we're moving into a little YogaFit tabletop with triceps dips. Now, if you're taking care of wrist, elbow, or shoulder, you can always keep the bum down and then bend the elbows and then extend the elbows. So let the torso be heavy, and this can be your triceps dips, okay? Or maybe you do the triceps dips from tabletop from here, and you start to feel a little ready for a break. Lower your bum and keep going, all right? Because you'll get some added benefits if you keep on going. You'll still fatigue. All right, so I'm gonna put our timer in here, and we'll see how much we can get. Are you ready? We're on the clock. So you're choosing. Now, if you have the bum lifted up off the mat, make sure that the legs and the waist on up, the legs and hips are still, so that we're focusing all that effort in the upper body. Now, at some point, we might start to feel fatigued in those triceps and then the shoulders. And at that point, we can leave our bum down on the mat and still get some added benefit. Body weight, right? Now we got 15 seconds to go, and I'm gonna do the last 15 seconds like this. And this one, it's hard for my brain not to say, oh, activate the core and help the torso sit up. We want to use the arms for that. Last one here. We're actually over a minute, but that's all good. All right, so you're feeling those triceps, no doubt. We're moving on to our bellies, onto our bellies. And we've got the forearms down. So the hands are forward of the shoulders and elbows are behind the shoulders. And we're doing a Pilates flow called Swan. So feeling the taps of the feet in the mat, that's activating our lower body. And we've got the belly drawing in, the surface of the belly drawing in. So here's the technique. We're inhaling to prepare and exhaling, pressing down into the forearms and then lifting up through the sternum. And then at the top, inhale, and then exhale, melting, think about a one vertebra at a time, back down. Inhale at the bottom. Exhale, pressing into the forearms and into the hands, and we're lifting. Inhale at the top, and exhaling, melting back down. So keep going with this Pilates Swan. Are you feeling those back muscles activating in the lifting and the lowering? We'll do one more. And then we're taking our arms and legs out long. And this next exercise is Pilates swimming. It's like spinal balance from the belly. So we lift opposite arm and leg and then lower. Opposite arm and leg and then lower. And our intention here is to maintain that steadiness in the trunk rather than feeling like we're rocking from side to side. So we're lifting up through the thigh, the toes are pointed. And if we're feeling pretty steady here, let's start to go simultaneously. So opposite arm and leg. And if we're still feeling pretty steady, let's speed it up double time. And the breath that goes with this is in, out, out. And relax. Letting the forehead rest on the stacked arms. Now we're rolling over onto our backs. And in constructive rest pose, we're moving through the Pilates 5. So this is where we'll begin. And we'll do the modified versions first. So core is active, and visualize that you have 3 large straps that are going across the low belly at the hip crease, across the navel center, and at the rib cage to keep us anchored here, the torso anchored. And then we've got that active inner core with the mula bandha. We're drawing our transverse abdominis toward each other, the dimples toward each other. So we're creating that support with our internal corset. And now we're lifting one bent leg at a time up while maintaining this feeling of steadiness in the torso. So this is a modified version. Another version is from Pilates tabletop with the knees stacked directly over the hips. The shins are parallel to the earth, and then we're dropping one heel at a time, or toe, but the movement comes from the hip rather than from the knee bending. And so that feels a little bit more challenging. Now, here are other variations, and this is a variation of single leg stretch, which is the first exercise in the 5s. So you can stay with this. Here are other variations. You can start to take the legs out long, one at a time. You can start to move the legs simultaneously. So as one is coming in, the other's going out. And the knees can come, or that knee can come in toward the chest. Here's another variation. It's going to increase the challenge, and that's rolling the head and the upper back away from the mat. So we're cradling the head and hands, letting it be heavy. And the last variation is drawing one knee in at a time with hands lightly resting on the shin. But if you start to feel the neck muscles working, then put the hand behind the head. All right, that's single leg stretch. Both knees in the chest, we'll give that a hug and let the head release. We'll take a couple breaths here. We're moving on to number 2, and this is double leg stretch. So that was single leg stretch, this is double leg stretch. So we start here in knees to chest, and the modified version takes our, has our arms at our sides, and we're just taking both legs out together and then drawing the knees into the chest, so we can hug them in if we choose. This is the modified version. The full version has the head and shoulder blades up off the mat. And then we take arms and legs out together and sweep the arms around. Make sure you're not going to hit your water. And then hug that back in. Now, Pilates incorporates mouth breathing, which we know we don't do a lot of mouth breathing in our asana practice. And if it feels uncomfortable, just breathe in a way that allows you to still breathe a steady, smooth breath. Last one here. And we'll relax. Number 3 is single leg, straight leg stretch. So we take both legs up and they are hip distance apart, toes are pointed. And the core is active again. We still have those 3 straps anchoring us down. And we are lowering one long leg at a time and then bringing it back up. So this is the modified version, one leg at a time. And if this feels pretty steady here, then start to move simultaneously. So as one is going up, the other is coming down. Now here's another one where we can lift the head and the shoulders up to the shoulder blade tips, and we cradle the heavy head in the hands. And the last version is the hands comes behind the shin and draws it toward the face, and pulse twice, pulse, pulse, and then switch, pulse, pulse. We'll balance between our 2 sides, knees and the chest. All right, double leg, straight leg stretch. So the legs are up, the ankles, knees, and inner thighs connect to each other. So think about zipping up those through the inner thighs. We've got the corset, and then we've got inner thighs zipped up. So our legs are anchored together. Now, depending upon lower back comfort, you may want to bring your palms down underneath the sacrum for this one. I need that little extra cushion for this one. So we're lowering our legs down as far as our body allows while the spine maintains its neutral place, and then we're lifting it back up, lowering it down and lifting it back up. Let's do 2 more. And we'll bring the knees to the chest. So that was number 4. That means there's one more. And this one is called crisscross or bicycling. We might know it as yogic bicycling. So we start in that Pilates tabletop. Hands behind the head heavy, and we're rolling up. So it's a combination of rotation with the first exercise, single leg stretch. So as we bring one leg out long, the other knee comes in toward the elbow. That's our exhale. Back to center. We switch. We exhale to twist and inhale to switch sides. Do 2 more on each side. And we'll have those knees in. Does that feel good? All right, we'll place our feet on the mat. We'll move into a bridge, a counter pose for all that abdominal work. And let's lower back down. We'll roll over to either side. Let's make our way into child's pose. And let's step the right foot forward. And we'll shift forward and back. And the next time we're forward, we're pausing here, letting the hips sink a little bit. We're moving into a lunge here, so stretching the hip flexors in the back leg and the hamstrings in the front leg. Now let's switch sides. Oh yeah, we got to shift back and forth. I'm glad I saw you doing that. Forgot about that part. All right, and we're pausing here for a few breaths. We'll release and we'll have a seat with legs wide. And heels planted and the toes are up. South spine as we breathe in, and we are folding forward our seated straddle. And let's come up. We'll bring those legs together. We'll bend our right knee and cross it over as an option. Tall spine as we're breathing in and we're twisting toward that bent leg, letting the head turn as far to the right as comfortable, eyeballs too. We're undoing. We'll switch sides. We'll come back to our centered place. Any seated pose that's comfy. And let's bring one arm across, head turns side to side. And then elbow high. And we'll switch sides and ear to shoulder. And elbow high. And let's release. So we'll take the arms up, palms up to the sky, and we'll circle around and out in front. And we'll switch directions. We'll get back to our starting place. We'll release our arms and take 3 big breaths in, sweeping the arms up on the inhale. Big. Exhale 2 more times. We'll bring those hands together for a few claps. Nice job showing up for yourself. I hope you feel great and got just what you needed. Please ask if you have any questions about what we did.